On July 24 of 2023, Rouge signed a contract with Tony Khan to be 100% All Elite. To say that Rouge was bound to be All Elite is an understatement. He, along with his brothers, have reached international success through their talent in lucha libre. Despite their battles with poverty, they prospered. Rouge started his professional wrestling career back in 2008 at exactly 20 years old, going by the name Latino. In the following year, he began to wrestle for CMLL, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, the oldest and prestigious lucha libre promotion in Mexico. He debuted under the name Rouge until it was later tweaked into Rouge. During his first match in CMLL, he would be booked to work in tag and trios matches since those are stipulations that lucha fans appeal to. Despite being booked as a técnico, aka babyface, Rouge would often show rudo heel tendencies during his matches. During the summer of 2010, Rouge went on to feud with Loco Max. This would end up culminating on August 15 in a hair versus hair lucha de apuesta match. In his first wager match, he was victorious, thus forcing Loco Max to have his hair shaved. This solidified him as the competitor whose hair would be most sought after. In that same year, Rouge won CMLL's bodybuilding contest in the advanced category. With this win, he gained a new nickname Mr. CMLL. During his CMLL run, Rouge is a former Mexican Trios champion, CMLL World Light Heavyweight champion, youngest in history by the way, CMLL World Trios champion, and CMLL World Tag Team champion. At this time, Rouge was being majorly invested in by CMLL, and it was clear to the audience. As a result, he faced major backlash from the fans, which he acknowledged by promoting his youth, strength, and physique. On January of 2012, Rouge took part in the CMLL and the New Japan co-produced Fantastica Mania events in Tokyo, making this the first time he reached international exposure. Later that year, he would be called up to participate in New Japan's G1 Climax tournament for Block B. He ended up being eliminated last in his block with 3 wins and 5 losses. After the tournament, he returned to CMLL to continue his rivalry against El Terrible. This feud culminated in CMLL's 79th anniversary show where he won his third hair versus hair lucha de apuesta match. Rouge would have back and forth stints in New Japan to partake in the World Tag League tournaments and more Fantastica Mania events, gaining wins over big names from New Japan such as Yoshihashi and Shinsuke Nakamura. Returning back to Mexico in the midst of 2013, Rouge once again began teasing a possible rudo turn as the crowd reaction to him grew more and more negative. Despite being a técnico, he was being referred to as the most hated wrestler in CMLL. From 2009 and up to 2014, Rouge had won 5 lucha de apuesta matches. Heading into the middle of 2014, Rouge began to form a partnership with La Sombra, now known as Andrade El Idolo. Both individuals were referred to as the most hated men in CMLL history, effectively making them rudos. They refused to acknowledge themselves as such and label themselves as técnico diferentes. This would be demonstrated with the members playing mind games, mocking their opponents and the crowd that they aren't worth their time. The two were eventually joined by La Máscara, who adopted their técnico diferente attitude, forming a stable that would internationally be known as Los Ingobernables. Sound familiar? Following the official formation, Los Ingobernables would go on to have rivalries with Negro Casas, Shocker, and Volador Jr. Afterwards, Rouge began to be paired up with former faction member from El Bufete del Amor, Marco Corleone, formerly known as Mark Jindrak during the Attitude Era. This resulted in Corleone becoming an additional member of the new rebellious faction. Fast forward in 2015, New Japan star Tetsuya Naito toured in Mexico to find himself after being rejected by the Japanese crowd. After tagging with La Sombra, Naito embraced the heat he received from the Mexican crowd that he was adding to Los Ingobernables. Any disrespectful gesture you can think of towards a Southeast Asian, Naito accepted it and made it into his brand. This is how he returned to New Japan with a new persona and created his own offshoot version called Los Ingobernables de Japón. The Mexican stable would also add Bestia del Ring, Rouge's father. With La Sombra now unmasked as Andrade, left CMLL for WWE, and Corleone being kicked out for not playing well with others. Eventually, the faction would wound up to have conflicts backstage and on the ring. As a result, Rush and his father Bestia would announce their departure from CMLL. This would effectively put an end to the original stable. While he maintained independent status post-CMLL, Rush managed to secure a deal with Ring of Honor due to the partnership between both promotions. During his ROH run, Rush had rivalries with the likes of Matt Taven from the original Kingdom and one of Mexico's many rising stars, Bandito. He was the face of ROH by holding the ROH World Champion 2 times until last losing it to Bandito on the Final Battle pay-per-view of 2021. Rush's main event stint was short-lived due to how bad ROH was affected by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, as well as AEW's formation. This resulted in Rush amongst the rest of the ROH roster to be released from their contracts so that the promotion could go on a hiatus. Rush would eventually debut for Lucha Libre AAA worldwide to make sporadic appearances which cannot be compared to his run in CMLL. However, for 3 years, him and LA Park would have verbal exchanges about promoting a Lucha de Apuesta match where they would bet their hair and mask. Nothing has been confirmed yet as we are speaking. On AEW's summer pay-per-view Double or Nothing, Rush was revealed to be a new member of AEW aligning with former partner Andrade El Idolo. Since making appearances for the promotion, he would go on to have brutal matches against Pentagon Jr., Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and the most notorious match against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. While Rush reached critical acclaim, many people were confused about why Jack Perry received a beating when he was a contender for the AEW Championship match at the time. Then there was Jim Cornette, who was berating Rush for being unprofessional, and then there was Conan, who is the gateway to the US for all luchadors, saying that Rush is easy to work with and that it must have been a production issue, not a professional issue. Jim Ross had to say this about Rush during his match against John Silvers from the Dark Order.
I don't know specifically, but I guarantee you that Rush can be the AEW champion. He can be the TNT champion. He matches up really well with everybody we've seen him in there with.
Look at this lack of respect by Rush.
Whatever the case might be, it established Rush as a legitimate threat to the AEW roster. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, Rush said that he wants to wrestle for AEW. He desires to wrestle with the likes of CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and Kenny Omega. It's not often that you see a Mexican star wanting to reach the pinnacle of professional wrestling. But the fact that this man is willing to show the world that Mexico ain't all about gymnastics shows the kind of boots he is trying to fill for all the Hispanics.